what was known affectionately as the Unc Bowl, and we had a shootout. Some people saying that it was the best game of the NFL season to this point, and suddenly life has been breathed back into the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is a rivalry. Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco that goes back all the way to 2009. Score one for the old guys. Gotta love it. Man's a gunslinger. I said last night he's a hired gun. What was known affectionately as the Unc Bowl. That's right, 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in town to take on the brand new quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, just acquired 40-year-old Joe Flacco, and we had a shootout. Some people saying that it was the best game of the NFL season to this point. The Bengals triumphing 33-31. Joe Flacco overcoming Aaron Rodgers' 4 touchdown passes by throwing for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns of his own. And suddenly life has been breathed back into the Cincinnati Bengals as they try to hold things together and hope that they can get Joe Burrow back late in the season. And this is a rivalry. Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco that goes back all the way to 2009. Okay, let's take a look here at these guys after the game. There's real affection between these guys. Aaron Rodgers talking after the game about what a good guy Joe Flacco is, and he's helped him with charitable endeavors and so forth. I mean, these guys are men who have been in the arena for a long time in a vicious league, and you can go back there and look at them wearing different jerseys in all of these matchups. But the first time that they encountered each other on an NFL field, December 7th, 2009. And to put that into context, Instagram didn't exist yet, and the iPad was yet to be introduced by Steve Jobs. That didn't come until early 2010. And 2 of my children weren't born yet. And one of them is a sophomore in high school. I mean, shit. Crazy, crazy times to think about these guys still airing it out. Score one for the old guys. And after the game, Joe Flacco was asked if there was any lesson for his children in what has gone on in his career this season, and in the fact that he in 1 week took over the challenge of being the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback very recently after being acquired from the Cleveland Browns. And here's what he had to say.
When you go look at this 11-day stretch one day down the road, what lesson do you hope it teaches your kids?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is that hopefully they'll be willing to take on challenges, because I think it would have been easy to maybe say, nah, I don't want to do that. Like, you want me to play this week? I don't know. I think that's one thing is take on some challenges, and you can't worry about the outcome. I see myself as a competitor. I see myself as a football player. That's what I do. That the challenge, okay, fine, let me take it on. I see myself as a football player first. No hesitation. Let's go do this.
Gotta love it. The man's a gunslinger. I said last night he's a hired gun. Is what Joe Flacco is. He's a professional gun. He's the guy in the Wild West that you call up when you need a guy to come into town and get something done. And Joe Flacco is one of the most underrated quarterbacks in NFL history. And let's not forget that Joe Flacco does have a Super Bowl championship as well to go along with his passing statistics. He's up around 47,000 yards passing now in regular season action. He'll be 41 in January. Aaron Rodgers will celebrate his 42nd birthday on December the 2nd. So these guys out there almost a combined 83 years old and getting it done in impressive fashion. And look, Jamar Chase obviously likes Joe Flacco. 16 receptions for 161 yards last night on 23 targets. And T. Higgins also with 96 yards receiving and a touchdown. It's amazing what a quarterback can do. We must ask ourselves at this point, how fucking bad was Jake Browning? Sorry, Jake. I hate to do it to you, but Joe Flacco has come in, and in short order, he has reminded us that the Cincinnati Bengals have an explosive offense as long as they have a quarterback who can get the ball to his weapons. And Joe Flacco just might be the guy to keep this ship afloat until number 9 is healthy again. Looking like a great acquisition, and Mike Tomlin is not very happy about it. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach has been scratching his head. He made public comments recently saying he doesn't understand why you would trade a valuable asset such as Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals, an in-division rival. Now, I guess the Browns are realistic about their lot in life. They must not be expecting to go anywhere because they decided a 5th-round pick was worth more than keeping the Cincinnati Bengals playoff aspirations alive. And if I'm Mike Tomlin trying to win that division, if I'm Mike Tomlin losing that game last night, a game that they very likely would have won if Jake Browning was still the quarterback, I'd be pissed off too. The Browns are like that guy in your fantasy league who makes a stupid trade to one of your rivals. And you're like, motherfucker? Really? That's what you did? I wish that I called you first. We've all been in a fantasy league with that guy, have we not? You know who I'm talking about. In your world, it may be Steve. Somebody else who's listening now, that might be Robert. But we all know that guy. In the NFL this year, it's the Cleveland Browns. So the success of Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers last night got me thinking about the rarefied air of quarterbacks past the age of 40 who have succeeded in the NFL. And it's not a real long list. The greatest to ever do it past the age of 40, and I'm talking about now only your resume past the age of 40. All right? We're throwing out everything that you did before life began again at 40 as, life begins at 40 is what they used to say. John Lennon had a song called Life Begins at 40. Tom Brady, 2-time Super Bowl champion past the age of 40, 55 wins past the age of 40, which is really impressive. Threw for over 23,000 yards and 161 touchdown passes after he was 40. I want you to think about that. That 23,000 yards and 161 touchdown passes is a pretty damn good NFL career for most mere mortals. That's a guy who was in the league for a while, and that was a guy who experienced some success. Those are Tom Brady's numbers, plus 2 Lombardis. A season where he threw for 5,316 yards and 43 touchdown passes, by the way, included in that. Perhaps the second greatest quarterback past 40. It's going to be one of 2 guys. I'm going to give the nod to Brett Favre, who in 2009 threw for over 4,200 yards, 33 touchdown passes, had a 107.2 passer rating, and came within an ill-advised interception from taking the Minnesota Vikings to the Super Bowl that year. I'm sure that, P.A. Jared, are you old enough to remember that? Were you watching that one, Jared, at age? Yeah. Well, that's no excuse. When I was 7 years old, I was watching shit. All right, the answer is no. Drew Brees might have an argument. Well, he certainly has an argument to be number 2 on that list. Threw for over 5,000 yards, 50 touchdown passes combined in his 40s, but he didn't last that long into his 40s. Warren Moon is a guy who comes to mind for me. Maybe Warren Moon is ahead of Drew Brees on the list. Threw for over 10,000 yards and 58 touchdown passes after he turned 40 and had a Pro Bowl year with the Minnesota Vikings. Vinny Testaverde bounced around for a while and was a good one, but one guy that I definitely want to make sure that we mention here when we talk about old quarterbacks is the oldest motherfucking quarterback of all. And some of you know where I'm going here. George Blanda of the Oakland Raiders. And here he is in 1975. Look at this guy. He looks like he should be on the nickel, this motherfucker. Look at him. In 1975, the Raiders finally lost count and just officially listed George Blanda's age as old as fuck in the team media guide. And George Blanda, one record Tom Brady doesn't hold for being over 40 and experiencing success at the quarterback position in the NFL is this one. George Blanda is the oldest man to ever throw a touchdown pass in an NFL regular season game. It came on December 14th, 1974. Can we get his picture back up here, Jared? When he was 83 years old. I'm just kidding. He was 47 years old in 1974. He was no older than 48 when that photo was taken, because that's how old he was when his final season transpired in 1975. He began his NFL career in the 40s. I remember being in elementary school and getting one of his football cards. I was probably in second or third grade. And I believe it was his 1974 Topps card. And on the back, you had the statistics. I remember looking at it and thinking, are you kidding me? This guy has been in the NFL since Truman was president. And he played in the NFL into my lifetime. So there you are. Some reflections on who the best quarterbacks of advanced age, geriatric almost in the case of George Blanda. All right, well, we've been talking a lot this week on the show about John Tesh and Round Ball Rock, the NBA on NBC theme that is being revived now with NBC getting the NBA television contract back again. And Joe Kinsey, Outkick's own senior director of content, sitting down with John Tesh recently talking about it. We had Joe on the show earlier this week discussing that. But that's not the only thing that NBC is bringing to the table as they try to resuscitate interest in the league to the levels that it experienced back in the heyday of the 80s and the 90s when, I'm not going to lie to you, I was several times over more interested in the league then than I am now. And I think NBC wisely recognizes that there are a lot of fans that are in that boat with me. We used to love the NBA, but as it has become a glorified Pop-A-Shot contest, what happened to real centers? What happened to interior passing? Yeah, get off my fucking lawn. Well, one way that they are going to attempt to generate interest and perhaps bring back some wayward fans such as myself is they're going to have Michael Jordan on broadcast. And who doesn't want to listen to the greatest ever? And Chris Collinsworth, of all people, was asked about this and may have spilled the beans a little bit on what we might expect from MJ on NBC.
Oh, man, I'm going to get shot for some of this. I'm sure it's all a big surprise, but he will be, it will be a deep dive into the brain of Michael Jordan. Is that enough of a tease without giving away anything?
Into the brain? I would like.
Yes.
Okay.
Like the things that you would really want to know from Michael Jordan. If you got a chance to sit down and just have a conversation with Michael Jordan, no cameras, just a couple of glasses of wine and just enjoy a great conversation about all the things that you knew about him or thought you knew about him from watching the series, and the whole thing like that. You're going to get that. Plus, you're going to get a very focused, not, Michael, who do you think the best player in the NBA is? It's not that stuff. It's like details way inside the brain of the greatest basketball player that ever lived.
Maybe he's going to tell the story about the time that he punched Judd Buechler in the nuts for fucking up in practice or something. I want to hear the gambling stories. Fuck that. I don't need him to tell me who the best player in the NBA is. I want to hear some of the gambling stories, but I don't think we're going to get those. But the number one thing that I hope that we get from MJ is just candor, because MJ has played it close to the vest for a lot of the time. His Hall of Fame speech was an exception to that. We got to see some of the real MJ when we saw the Last Dance documentary. Remember when we all didn't have anything better to do than to watch that back during the pandemic? And it was pretty damn good television. So I just hope we get an engaged MJ who is not just there to pick up a paycheck, but who is there to actually give us the opportunity to hear the thoughts and insights that can only come from the greatest player who's ever stepped on the hardwood. This episode today, my friends, is brought to you by Prize Picks. You know, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right, which I am so often, can get you paid. And that's an awesome thing. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is fun and simple to play. Join millions of other users who are having a great time and profiting from their experience on Prize Picks. And you know, one way that is very simple to help you pocket a few dollars is to take advantage of the max discounts. And right now, the max discount that I would like to turn your eyes towards is on Steph Curry. Take a look at this. We got NBA tip-off special, Steph Curry 0.5 points. That means if you select Steph Curry as one of your selections in one of your lineups, all he's got to do is make a free throw, and you're going to be good to go on that one. So I know that I've used the Prize Picks max discount to effectiveness this year on more than one occasion. So I would say grab Steph Curry for this one, that October 21st game, Warriors-Lakers. Once he puts one in the bucket, well, you can just flip the TV off and light up a lung dart, baby, because it's mission accomplished with Steph Curry. And best of all, if you use my code Ricky, you're going to get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. It's just that simple. Use my code Ricky, and you'll get $50 in house money, as it were. $50 in lineups when you play a $5 lineup. You can't beat it with a stick, as my grandfather might have said. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And it's even better to get paid for being right. And I'm hoping that I'll get paid for being right with my selections here that I have for this weekend's NFL action. Here's my menu for you. I'm looking to double my money here. I guess, triple it, actually, in fact, is what it amounts to when you get paid back 2 times what you put in. But I've got Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to throw a touchdown pass against the Rams. I believe he can get one in the end zone. I like Jake Elliott and the Eagles to score a couple of touchdowns, and I'm trusting Elliott to punctuate those with extra points that are successful. And I think that Jackson Dart is going to be good for 150 yards passing or more. Give me more, just like I'm the Andrea True connection, motherfucker. And I'd like to thank the 8 of you who just got that reference, and I'd like to thank even more the 4 of you who enjoyed it. And I especially thank the one of you that almost chuckled. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. And a super sky point today. It's not all sunshine and glory holes, as Jerry Jones might say. We lost a rock legend. The news yesterday dropped in that Ace Frehley of Kiss, the spaceman, as we all knew him when we were kids and when we were adults, passing away at the age of 74. And as I tweeted here, super sky point to Ace Frehley. When I was in first grade, Kiss felt like a supernatural force. Half men, half mythology, 100% badassery. You simply can't write the story of pop culture and music in the 70s without the space ace. Let's put on Shock Me and light one up, R.I.P. And I will tell you, I meant that shit. I lit one up last night, and I put on Shock Me, and I took a little walk around the neighborhood, and I reflected on the spaceman. So, St. Peter, look out, baby. It's going to be getting real up there in heaven. All right, now let me go ahead and waste no time in welcoming to the program the man who is known to millions the world over as the international streaming star. Joining me from Nashville, Tennessee, he is, of course, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, Kiss. We've talked about it before. Being the Super 70s guy, the next decade plus is going to be rough. I don't like writing those super sky points. Ooh. I take pride in trying to do a good job when I write them because I know that they get shared a lot and, people read them and it's my opportunity to give a little bit of respect and honor in the small way that I can to someone that I respect or admire, or both, as the case may be. But I don't like writing them, and I'm writing far too many of them. Our heroes and our rock idols and athletic idols of our youth, man, they're getting older, Ron. And you said, as we were in the show text thread earlier, that he was your favorite member of KISS, I believe.
He was absolutely my favorite. And I just think, for whatever reason, his makeup, how he did his makeup on his eyes when I was, I don't know, Ricky, 8 or 9 or 10 or whatever I was, I'm like, that's so cool. And so Ace Frehley became my guy with KISS. Like, he was my favorite guy.
When I was in first grade, there was a group of boys in first grade who started their own group called KISS, and their mission was to kiss every girl in our class. That's a true story.
With or without consent?
And so, like, well, I don't think consent was happening. I think they were just going up to little girls on the playground and kissing them and then running off like bandits. Is how it was going down. That's the kind of early misogyny and sexual harassment that Gene Simmons would no doubt have approved of if he knew about it. But it was a different
yeah,
era.
But
remember
dude,
all
what
the
you
rumors
what
about KISS? You know, like, remember, like, you know what KISS supposedly stood for? Do you remember that?
Gosh, remind me. I really don't.
Knights in Satan's Service.
Oh yeah,
is what I always heard. Yeah,
but no, you know what Satan. You put in that
they worship pussy and weed and alcohol and things like that, and rock and roll.
What you put in that that post on X, like, you're 100% right. Like, it's absolutely impossible to tell the story of pop culture in the 70s without having KISS way high up there. Like, maybe Mount Rushmore if you're talking about impact and relevance in pop culture.
Yeah, no, they were a big fucking deal, man. And I know that they're still famous and whatever, but I mean, there was like a several year period in the 70s, like mid to late 70s. Those dudes were they were as big as any rock act, other than the Beatles and Elvis and people like that. I mean, they were about as big as it gets.
Enormous. Just the fact that they'd show up on TV shows or in cartoons, or like the crossover that they had I mean, they were everywhere. It would be fascinating to see what they would be had they been in their prime during the social media era, because I mean, they were everywhere when we had 3 TV channels, Ricky. I can't imagine what they would be today.
Remember in the 80s when they took their makeup off and we were all kind of like,
put your makeup back on.
Not that there was anything wrong with, they looked perfectly fine, but
I know, but they weren't
suddenly
KISS.
they were just guys.
Yeah.
And it's like KISS was something more, those boots, and Gene Simmons scared me. The tongue, when I was a little kid, there was a little part of Gene Simmons that I was just
the blood, he spit the blood out.
His tongue he just rolled his tongue out like a serpent, sleeping bag or something. Yes. Or a serpent is the case. All right, Ron. So here's something that I'm looking forward to. I've been looking forward to this part of the show, honestly, quite a lot. Probably more than a allegedly mature, middle-aged man should, Ron. But we have collected here it's going around on social media. We've curated a few of our favorites. This was posted on Instagram. Some of the strangest, weirdest, most wonderful names in college basketball. And I know, Ron, that you probably remember the Key and Peele bit about the East-West game or
yes.
whatever.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of God, I'm trying to think of
Crenshaw
some of them now off
Demarios
the
or
top.
something like that. It's just a bunch of
Yes, all of
just
those.
made up stuff. Yes.
Yeah. And then at the end, it's like John Smith, BYU. But yeah, something McCringleberry or whatever. So we've got some real ones here that are rivaling Key and Peele's creativity, Ron. So that makes it even better when you know that it's legit. So I'm going to walk you through a handful of these and get your reaction. We got about 8 here, and then I've got a couple of my favorite old school 70s all name team guys that we'll look at when we're done. So let's begin with the first one here, Ron, and get your thoughts on it. Always Right, who goes to UT Rio Grande Valley. And Ron, I am amazed. I am shocked. Of all the names on the list, I'm the most surprised by this one because I thought for sure that would be a woman.
So I'm just wondering, like on this one, is this actually his name or is it his nickname? Because if it's his government name, props to his parents for calling him Always with that last name. I mean, it's so good. Always Right.
I have not seen their official government IDs, Ron, so I can't tell you whether or not any of these are nicknames or on their birth certificates, but I love he has a brother named Sometimes Right. And then he's got a really fucked up brother called Seldom Right, I believe is his name. Ron. So there you go. He's always right. Just ask his parents. All right. Second, we have, this is a great one here, Tennessee Rainwater.
Sounds like a 70s like Southern rock band, doesn't it?
It does. Or a song. Johnny Cash.
Chris Stapleton
back in the 60s.
Or Chris Stapleton now. Tennessee Rainwater.
Yeah, Chris Stapleton would crush Tennessee Rainwater. I'd listen to it. He's from Lemoyne. Whatever. We're obviously
I believe they're the Dolphins. They are the Dolphins. I looked closer. Yep, I was right. Their nickname's the Dolphins. Yep.
Well, there you are. Tennessee Rainwater. It's just sounds like a cartoon character. Tennessee Tuxedo. Remember that? Well, meet Tennessee Rainwater. There. Here's one for you, Ron. If you have any aches and pains, you can go see Dr. Bradley from Bethune-Cookman.
So simple yet so
there he
awesome.
Is. Hard to say I don't know if he's a medical doctor. He could be just a shitty old EDD, like a community college administrator. I'm not impressed if that's a liberal arts doctor. You know?
Oh yeah,
At least be a medical. Yeah, that's one of the things that got me about being a college professor.
I know.
Like the people who insisted on being doctor. It's like, first of all, motherfucker, if you can't save somebody's life, don't call yourself doctor. Okay?
Or
secondly,
or Julius Erving.
You're teaching at a community college. If you're if you're Dre, or if you're Dr. John, or if you're Dwight Gooden.
Right.
I mean, I'll carve out some honorary exceptions. But if you're just a lousy fucking community college psychology teacher, don't tell your colleague that, that he has to refer to you as doctor in front of students. And that's a real story that happened. All right. Here's one for you that's pretty classic. Makes me want to go to New Orleans, and it makes me hungry, quite frankly. Meet this guy, Po' Boy King.
I mean,
that sounds like the biggest po' boy sandwich that you could get there down in New Orleans. And
the way it's
still mad
is
that I didn't
amazing.
get one when I was down there for the Super Bowl. Yeah, there's bonus points for creativity.
Oh my gosh.
Just look at him. Yeah, it's a place for Sam Houston. Po' Boy King. All right, well, here comes a favorite. Here's one. I'm just a kid who's 4. Each day I grow some more. I like exploring. I'm Caillou. What do you think, Ron? There's Caillou.
I don't get the reference that you just did.
Oh my God. You don't know Caillou?
No, what is that?
Ron. It's a cartoon. Jared, is there any way we can get a picture of Caillou up so that Ron can be educated? That's the best motherfucking joke I'm going to make the entire show, Ron.
Sorry.
I'm so pleased with myself. And you're just like, what? All right, well, here's a name that you're sure to recognize, Ron. Meet George Washington III. Still ready to fuck up some redcoats if necessary. From Florida Gulf Coast University. The Florida Gulf Coast University.
Remember when Florida Gulf Coast had that run through the tournament? Oh, that was great. They just dunked on every play.
His backcourt mate there at Florida Gulf Coast is John Quincy Adams IV. I just made that up. That's not a thing. All right. Now here's one that makes me realize that if I'd had a son, I wouldn't do this to any of my daughters, Ron. But if I had a son, this option would have been on the table for me. Meet Gob Gob of Northwest Missouri State.
Oh,
I
you
could
would
have
have
had
went
a son
Cobb
named Cobb.
Cobb
Yeah.
Cobb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wasn't it Bowl? Isn't there a Bowl in the NBA? Bowl.
Manute Bowl's son is Bowl.
Gob. I mean, that is
Gob.
Fantastic.
It's almost gobble gobble. But Gob could have named him, had every name in the world that wasn't the same name as his last name. His parents said, you know what? We like our surname. So he's like the Duran of college basketball.
The first thing I thought of was I think he played for Providence, point guard, God Shamgod.
Yes.
Like when I heard Gob Gob, I just thought of God Sham.
His son is on the coaching staff of the Celtics. He was in that.
I didn't know that.
He was in that media coaches game. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There you are. And this one's not really funny, but you're going to know why I included it, Ron, when you see it. Theodore Pendergrass III. And yes, in fact, I did the research.
Is it?
That is Teddy Pendergrass's grandson. Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's right.
But I like how he goes by Theodore.
Teddy P.
Goes by Theodore.
Yeah. He goes by Theodore like he's living in the 19th century.
Writing with a quill.
You don't have a lot of Theodores anymore.
Theodore
Beaver Pendergrass III. The Beaver. Delaware State. So there's another one for you. All right, so there's Caillou, by the way.
Never, ever in my entire life have I even seen that.
It's Caillou on the right. That is the former Atlanta Braves general manager on the left.
Yeah, Ricky, I've never seen that cartoon character in my life.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Consider yourself blessed and fortunate.
Was it like a kid? Was it something your kids watched? Was it something your kids watched?
Yeah. So what was that about my kids?
I said, was it something your kids watched, or is it something from our era?
Yeah. Kids watched it.
Oh well, Tyler's like 7 years older than your oldest kid, so I just want to I know Teletubbies.
That's true.
Like I know the Teletubbies.
All right, Ron. All right. You didn't get the channel.
I mean, honestly, it looks like a great
Union.
value. It looks like a great value. Charlie Brown is what it looks like to me.
Well, yeah. Just imagine Charlie Brown like 8,000 times more annoying, and that's what you'll have. All right, so I do have a couple of old school, all-time, all-name squad guys here that I can't let this segment pass without giving them at least a hat tip. Let me begin with the legend himself, Dick Pole, major league pitcher from the 1970s. And this is a minor league card, Ron. He actually pitched for the Portland Beavers, Ronnie. And as I tweeted, whenever Dick Pole took the mound for the Beavers, no one under 18 was admitted into the ballpark. Dick Pole on the rubber for the Beavers. I'm sorry,
I
I'm
love-
10 years old every time
I was
going
going
to
to say, I literally was
Never
about
gets
to say,
old, it's
I love
evergreen.
still being 12. I still love being 12 years old. It's so
I'm
good.
just, it never gets old. It never will get old.
Nope.
And here's one that you may or may not remember. He played for the Cleveland Browns, wide receiver by the name of Fair Hooker.
I remember him.
Ronnie. And as I
remember
tweeted,
Fair.
they're so hard to find. There's a lot of price gouging out there, you know? $20 doesn't go as far as it used to. I'll tell you that, Ron, but you always appreciate it when you can find somebody who still believes in everyday low prices. Ron, and with that, let's take it to a break right now. And when we come back, we've got a lot more left for you. America's Poll of the Day is going to crown a champion, and we'll be joined by the three-time Super Bowl champ, Ed McCaffrey, straight ahead right after this, right here on The Ricky Cobb Show.
Football's finally back. So's the hard-hitting gridiron action on Prize Picks. Download Prize Picks and use code OUTKICK and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Welcome back to the program, my friends, here on this Friday afternoon in Chicago. My guest today is a former Pro Bowl wide receiver as well as a three-time Super Bowl champion. He's also the founder and CEO of McCaffrey Brands. Always a pleasure to welcome back to the program, Ed McCaffrey. Ed, how are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me back on the show, Ricky, man. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, man, it's great to see you. I think the last time I saw you was down on Radio Row in New Orleans. Got to talk to you about those protein bites and all the good things that are going on with McCaffrey Brands when we're done with the NFL talk. But let's start with Flacco and Rodgers and what everybody was calling the Unc Bowl last night in Cincinnati. Two 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks airing it out. Rodgers had 4 TD passes. Flacco going for 342 and 3 touchdown passes. And it feels like he just landed in Cincinnati, just 2 or 3 days ago. How impressive is it to see guys of that age lighting it up out there on the NFL field?
Oh, it's unreal. Flacco won't go away, Willie. He's like a fungus. You can't get rid of him. He goes from team to team to team. And you know what? He just keeps crushing it. I'll never forget when he beat my Denver Broncos in the playoff game and on their way to winning a Super Bowl with the immaculate deflection. And the guy, I don't know, he just got a demeanor about him. He's just cool, calm, and collected under pressure. Nothing seems to affect him. No matter what the situation is in a game, no matter what team he's playing for, guy just brings his lunch pail to work. So incredibly impressive performance by him on short notice.
Yeah, I think at this point it's fair to say one of the more underrated quarterbacks probably in the history of the league, because you look at the counting stats, he's got the Super Bowl, as you alluded to, and he's a guy who he's a hired gun. And earlier in the show I said it's like if it was the Wild West, Flacco would just be that guy. If you needed a gun to come into Dodge City, you call Flacco and here he comes. Now I got to ask you, Ed, how do you feel about Mike Tomlin's pointed criticisms that he made of the Cleveland Browns? Before this loss happened, I can only imagine how pissed Mike Tomlin was, given his statements, in advance of that he doesn't understand how the Cleveland Browns would hand a life preserver, basically, to the Cincinnati Bengals in the way that they did for a 5th-round pick. What are your thoughts on interdivision trading like that, in-division trading?
Well, now you know why he was so upset, right? He's a smart guy. He's like, what the heck's going on here, man? You might be cashing in your chips on your season, but why you got to affect the rest of the teams in the division? I think it speaks volumes about his respect for Joe Flacco. He knew that he's a good quarterback, and he knew he gave the Bengals a better chance to win the game. So he wasn't too excited about it. And I'm not a fan ever of trades within the division. I don't know why teams do it. You'd think teams would learn over the years. I mean, we saw just what happened a couple of years ago when it wasn't a trade, but the Giants allowed Saquon Barkley to leave and join the Eagles and then wins the Super Bowl. And man, it just doesn't seem to make that much sense. Even within the same conference, sometimes doesn't seem to make that much sense. That's why that Green Bay Packer Dallas Cowboys game was so exciting a few weeks ago. We wanted to see what the Micah Parsons deal would do to the conference and what kind of effect it would have in that game. Ended up being a tie, which was crazy. But never a fan of letting one of your best players go, and never a fan of making a deal within the division that could come back to hurt your team. Now, in the long run, Joe Flacco, man, he is father time, and he has stood the test of time. He's performed at a high level his whole career, but he's not going to play forever. So, it's probably a whole lot worse for Pittsburgh than it was for Cleveland in the long run, but still not a fan of it.
Well, looking at the Browns now, we obviously had all of the hoopla and hype, and then oh my gosh, the reaction that we had when Shedeur slid out of the first round and then slid out of the second round. And then there for a few minutes, it looked like he might slide out of the entire draft. And we heard folks who were so upset about it, they couldn't believe that he could possibly have fallen that far and that there must be something nefarious going on in the NFL. Well, the Browns now have obviously parted ways with Flacco. They're going with the third round pick, Dylan Gabriel, who has the job now, and Shedeur is the backup quarterback. Based on what you've seen to this point, what do you think of the Shedeur Sanders era as it stands now? Of course, he's yet to take a snap in a regular season game. We saw him a couple of times in the preseason. We've seen him interacting with the media, things like that. What's your read on Shedeur Sanders as an NFL quarterback at this point in his young career?
Well, Shadeur's dad, Dion, was my teammate in San Francisco. We went on to win Super Bowl 29 way back in 1994, and he was a great teammate. And I love that he and his family have so much love for each other and that they support each other. I think that's really, really cool. What Dion would tell you is what I'll tell you is that once you get to the NFL, it does not matter where you were drafted. It does not matter what school you went to. All that matters is how you perform. So I would say work in progress, right? He'll get an opportunity to compete. He'll get an opportunity to show what he can do. Sometimes you're able to prove what you can do with the team that you're playing for, the team that drafted you. Other times it takes longer. Other times, maybe you're on your second or third team before you can really prove what you can do. The NFL is a tough business. It really is. And nobody feels sorry for anybody. So it's a dog eat dog world out there in the dog pound. And so the cream eventually most of the time rises to the top. And so I'm excited to watch him compete, excited to watch him get a chance to play and show what he can do and throughout what will probably be a long career.
Well, let's stay here in the division and talk about the incredibly, to this point, disappointing Baltimore Ravens. 1-5 as it stands. And I saw a graphic, I think earlier this week, Ed, we had it on the show. 1.8% of NFL teams have made the playoffs after a 1-5 start since 1990. So if my math's right, that puts the odds somewhere on paper around 55-1 or something like that. Now, obviously, they've still, if they have a healthy Lamar Jackson the rest of the way, Derrick Henry, obviously they've got a lot of pieces there. What kind of a chance do you give this Baltimore Ravens team of rallying and finding a way to scrape their way into the playoff picture?
So you're saying there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance, right? I think.
Yes, in fact, I am.
Yeah, what game was I watching the other day? I was watching a game the other day, and if I ever follow that probability arrow and it's going, 10%, 50%, 60%, 90%. I was watching a game, and throughout the course of the game, it got to 98% chance of winning. And then the team lost, right? So, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen. I remember the Broncos started 6-0 one year, didn't make the playoffs. I've seen teams, win 10 games in a row. They make the playoffs, but they lose their last 6 and then lose their first round of the playoffs. Lots of different things can happen. Look, I'm as shocked as anyone at the record of the Baltimore Ravens because I think they have a ton of talent and they're very well coached. What's really surprising is how many points the defense has given up because they got some good players over there. Now, they've had some injuries, but, Nobody feels sorry for you. Every team has injuries, not to the same extent, but it's just something that you got to battle through the best that you can and hope you have depth on your depth chart. But I think they're going to win a lot of games moving forward, and I think Coach Harbaugh is a really good coach. You don't get to the playoffs, you don't win Super Bowls every year, but he has won a Super Bowl, and he has gotten to them in the playoffs a bunch of times, and I wouldn't bet against him in the long run.
Ed, as we continue on into the weekend of week 7 here in the league, there are 2 5-win teams, one in each conference, standing at 5-1. The Indianapolis Colts with Daniel Jones and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield. What do you make of these teams? How viable are they in your view? Is this like, okay, they're 5-1 right now, things are going to, settle down, or are these teams that you think could be poised to go on and win, 13 games or something like that?
Well, I think they're 10-win teams at least, so I think they're playoff teams. I don't think they fall off the map, right? But I don't know if they can keep that pace up. There's a lot of parity in the league. There's a lot of good teams. But I think they all get to at least 10. One of them will get to 12, right? I don't know about 13. That's a little tougher. But I'm happy for Daniel Jones. My oldest son, Max, who's coaching with the Dolphins now. By the way, they got to play the Browns, so that'll be a battle between the Browns and the Dolphins. But Dan, he went to Duke, and I watched Daniel Jones when he went to Duke and followed his career. Watched him with the Giants, the team I started my NFL career with, and thought he was a heck of a player for them. Sometimes it's just not the right setting, whether it's not a great fit with the coach or the play caller or the talent around you, or your team gets injuries or whatever it is. There's good players, I like to put myself in that category, that can be with the team and then are released or cut or let go and then have a lot of success somewhere else. I think Daniel Jones is one of those guys. Baker Mayfield is the same, right? He was in Carolina with Christian before he got traded. Him and, Sam Darnold, they were both on the same roster, those two guys, right? And Baker Mayfield, I thought, was crushing it in Cleveland before they let him go. I remember that last season, he was playing with a hurt shoulder. He battled every game, even with a hurt shoulder, and had to run a lot, didn't have great protection. And then it was all kind of blamed on him. And I'm thinking, I don't think he was the problem. He's a pretty good player. And now he's, in the first third of the season playing like the MVP. So it just goes to show you that, it takes more than even just talent. It takes talent, takes playing for the right coach in the right system with the right supporting cast, the right play caller, takes all of that stuff. And then it also takes a lot of resilience. I see so many players either quit or give up or just think it's not worth it. Those guys aren't those types of guys, right? Those guys are your leaders. The team follows them. They love them. And you can say what you want, but their teammates have always loved them, every team they've ever played for. You look at Baker, love him, hate him, ever since he was in high school, college, you name it. His teammates loved him because he's all about the team, and you see it in the way that he plays. So I'm not surprised that those two guys are playing well. I'm not surprised that Sam Darnold's playing well. And it's kind of interesting right now, right? All those quarterbacks that got discarded are having a whole lot of success somewhere else.
Yeah, and another that comes to mind is, your son Christian's teammate right now, Mac Jones, who with Brock Purdy down, it's like all of a sudden, I think there's a lot of people that are remembering, oh, yeah, it wasn't that long ago that a lot of us were excited about Mac Jones, and then he got written off, it seemed like, by everybody, and now we're being reminded he's throwing for over 300 yards a start in Brock Purdy's absence. Your boy is leading the league in touches. He's healthy again, after last season. 4-2 right now. How are you feeling about the Niners at this point?
Feeling pretty good. I'm glad you brought up Mac Jones because he's another quarterback in that category, right? He was a Pro Bowler his, I think, rookie year or second year. And then, you go through coaching changes, coordinator changes, roster changes, and that really affects the player, right? I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I'm just saying when you change coaches and coordinators and play callers and the team around you changes, it affects how you play. I think that's what happened to Mac, and he's playing phenomenally well in San Francisco. But what a great attitude he has too, right? He comes to town. He's like, yeah, this is Brock's team. I'm going to play the best I can while I get the opportunity to play. And he's proven to be an incredible leader on this team while we wait for Brock to come back and play. And he's proven that, heck, he's pretty talented, right? He showed some of that Pro Bowl form that he showed early in his career in New England. So heck of a quarterback, a great leader, and he's been playing really, really well. The 49ers, have been decimated with injuries. Lost Bosa, lost Warner, lost some other guys. Brandon Ayuk hasn't come back yet. Pearsall's missed some time. Hopefully George Kittle comes back this week. I think it's a tribute to Kyle Shanahan and what he's been able to do, and also give a tip of the hat to Robert Saleh as the defensive coordinator. They've done a great job of coaching some young players on defense. They've done a great job of coaching and scheming against teams without all of their weapons. And, I'm proud of Christian for being a workhorse, man. I think he helps make a difference on that team. His absence was visible and felt last year, but now he's back. And, man, it sure would be nice to have that whole roster. But, that football's tough, man. You don't always get that privilege every year. So they're going to go to battle with who they have, and they're going to compete. This is an interesting game this week because it's the Atlanta Falcons. And I don't know if you paid attention in the offseason, but Christian got to work out a little bit with Bijan Robinson, and my son Luke, who's with the Commanders, got to work out with those guys. I sat in on a couple of those workouts, and I'm not surprised at the success he's having either. So it's kind of cool. It's, a running back who's accomplished a whole lot in this league with a running back who's a rising star in this league. And I know I'll be watching both those guys pretty closely, and obviously rooting for the Niners. But, you learn that you start, rooting for guys that you like as well to do well, even though you're rooting for your team.
And it seems like there's so much parity in the league. My picks, I don't even know why I bother to make picks, because sometimes I feel like I'm just throwing darts at a wall, because just when I think I get a read on a team, they surprise me. As you're looking at the season to this point, a little over the third of the way mark, are there any teams that stand out to you as a surprise, or a team to keep an eye on as we're kind of starting to handicap who look like the strongest contenders in each conference?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll tell you what, the Bills were looking really good, and then they stubbed their toe the last couple of weeks. They were looking pretty legit. And I think I think there's just a lot of talent at the top. All the teams that have begun the last couple of years, Detroit has shown flashes, Green Bay's shown flashes. Obviously, Philly's good. People are not going to give Philly enough credit. They're loaded with talent, and they win ugly, hard games. And, maybe it's good, maybe it's good for a team like that, if you're a Philly fan, to lose a couple so that your team kind of wakes up. But a couple of years ago, when 49ers beat them in that NFC Championship game, they kind of fell apart and lost a bunch of games down the stretch, and then lost early in the playoffs. For them, it's not about talent or coaching even. It's about their mindset and whether they can keep, a positive culture and keep having guys get motivated and play for each other. But physically, they're really talented still, even though they have a couple of injuries as well. So, I don't know. I think it's the same playoff teams from a year ago. Baltimore, all those teams are struggling right now, but it's a long season. So in many ways, it's a game of attrition. The teams that played week 1 don't have the same players as they have going into week 6 or 7, and the teams that are playing in week 12 or 14 or 17 might not have the same roster as the team they have right now. So we'll wait and see. I think each and every week in the NFL, a team takes the field that has a chance to win. If you don't show up and bring your best stuff, or if you're a dominant team, bring at least close to your best stuff, you can get beat by anybody on a given day. That's why they say any given Sunday. But in terms of your picks, right? Just look at what the odds makers say, and you pick everything. You pick all the teams they pick, you're going to be right about 70 to 80% of the time. I learned that back in 5th and 6th grade when I was a bookie for a short amount of time.
All right, next time you're on the show, I want to get the story of Ed McCaffrey, youth bookie. All right, but we'll save that one. Let me ask you, Ed, another thing that you know a little something about is coaching at the college level. And, all the eyes have been on Bill Belichick. A lot of it has been a soap opera, the off-the-field stuff, and I'll set that aside. What do you think about, just in terms of the on-field results and Bill adapting to being a college coach after being, I think generally considered the GOAT of NFL head coaches? Are you surprised that UNC seems to be struggling quite as much as they are at this juncture?
Yeah, I think they had a couple losses where they lost by a lot more points than I thought they would. I was shocked that Coach Belichick took the job, honestly. He had another probably 2 seasons to set the all-time NFL win record and break Don Shula's record. I thought for sure he'd interview for an NFL game. Look, NFL teams, sometimes it gets tricky, right? I think that, he's obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's the most accomplished coach in terms of winning Super Bowls in NFL history. And he didn't have to coach in college. I think when he interviewed for a couple of NFL jobs, including the one in Atlanta, but others, maybe because of all his success, he wanted some control in the front office. He wanted some ability to make decisions on draft picks and things like that maybe some teams weren't willing to provide. And so he sat out, and I thought maybe he'd sit out 1 year. He did a pretty good job broadcasting and maybe go back to the NFL. So I was shocked because he didn't have to do it. So I commend him for loving coaching so much that he's still willing to coach at a lower level, knowing that coaches who are not nearly as accomplished as he is will beat him. Because he had to know that going in. He wasn't going undefeated with that team and with his roster. He had a chance to have success, but there's no way he was going to beat some of the teams on his schedule. And he was willing to take that job anyway. I thought it was, I commend him for doing it. It's not easy to do. And he knew there was potential for a lot of criticism, yet he took the job anyway. So, I'd like to look at it like this. The guy loves coaching. He doesn't care what level. And he'd rather be coaching than be sitting out waiting for a job. And, I guess that can be applauded.
Yeah, that's actually a great point because, sure, I guess on paper he could end up winning a national championship or whatever, which would obviously be a huge feather in his cap. But he has a lot more to lose in terms of public perception and criticism. So that's actually one of the best points that I've ever heard anybody make on the topic of it, Ed. Look, tell me, I can't let you go without getting the update on all things McCaffrey brands. Because first of all, I've got the sauces. They're I've got that. I've got one of those bad boys right in there in my kitchen cabinet. P.A. Jared, who's producing the show today. That was his gift for me last year. And then down in New Orleans, you show up for us to interview right there, on Radio Row, and you bring me some protein bites. And so we do our interview. You know how that is. I'm interviewing like 8 people in a row. And then I sit down and I'm hungry and nothing's, so I pull open the protein bites. Next thing I know, like I'm halfway through the bag. Those things are really fucking good. Ed, I'm here to tell you, in my experience, every McCaffrey product that I've tried to this point is a home run, or should I say a touchdown. Let us know what's going on and let our audience know where they can find your stuff.
Yeah, well, obviously online you can go to McCaffreyBrands.com or buy them on Amazon. We're on Amazon now. Reduce a lot of those shipping costs. Or if you live near a Dick's Sporting Goods store, you can go there. If you live in Colorado, now they're in King Soopers. So there's a lot of places to find them. For most people across the country, Amazon's the easiest place to find our product. But long story short, for our listeners who don't know about it, there's some mustard right there, right? We've been selling Rocky Mountain mustard, both spicy brown, yellow, and some horseradish sauces since the 90s, since before my kids were born. And look, we're not reinventing the wheel, right? But we think we got the best mustard product, best horseradish product in the world. And you know what? We're in the business of making good food taste better. You like hamburgers, hot dogs, brats. You mix in some potato salad, use it in recipes. It's a really delicious condiment line that just makes your food taste better. These are the protein bites, which are, gluten-free, non-GMO, plant-based protein, super healthy. I think they're the best tasting, healthy snack on the market. And so if you haven't tried them, I hope you do, and I hope you like them. But here we're just, after a weekend of tailgating and eating a bunch of brats and burgers and having a good time, throughout the week, I try to eat a little healthier in between lunch and dinner. And so these snacks, they're great for mom, for dad, for kids. They're easily digestible if they want to eat them, before, during, or after a game. But I'm glad you like them, or during the show, right? You get a little hungry, you can eat them, and they're easily digestible, and gives you a little energy to finish the show.
Yeah, that's a great thought. Yeah, the birthday cake ones are my favorite. And
Yes.
You're right, man. They don't taste. Anytime you're eating something that's good for you and it doesn't taste like it would be good for you, that's the win-win as far as I'm concerned. So you've certainly delivered with those protein
Well, thank you.
bites.
Yeah, we spent about.
Ed, it's all. Yeah.
No, just saying we spent like 3 years trying to come up with that recipe. I wouldn't put my name on anything till it tasted great. So I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure. Well, look, Ed, it's always great to see you. Always great to have you on. We appreciate you making time for us today. And look, got to get you back on at some point. I want to hear about the industrious young McCaffrey who was taking everybody's bets back in school in the day.
For another time, I'll tell you what, I will come back on the show anytime. You just let me know.
All right. We always appreciate you, brother. Take care.
Thank you.
He is the 3-time Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, Ed McCaffrey. All right, and Ronnie T-shirts, we are going to go straight out of that fantastic interview segment and straight into what America is waiting for right now. It's going to go down almost as tasty as a McCaffrey Brands protein bite. It's time for Championship Friday, America's poll of the day. Let's go to it now at Super 70 Sports on X, where the eagle flies high. Higher than the Cleveland Browns were when they traded Joe Flacco. Well, they did get a 5th-round pick. Here we go. We're going to walk you through this. Cherry Coke was Monday's winner. Tuesday's winner, at least I think, are these in the order of the days, Jared? I believe they are. Cherry Coke was Monday's winner. Yeah, Arby's Curly Fries won on Tuesday. Now, I'm going to, in the interest of full disclosure here, I'm going to tell you that Wednesday's winner was Airplane, the movie. But that's on me. Nothing is eligible to be in the poll that was in the last Why Not tournament. So P.A. Jarrett has acted as commissioner of the Why Not tournament and said, no, Airplane cannot move forward to Championship Friday due to that technicality that is on yours truly's shoulders. And we are going with the NBA on NBC, which lost to Cherry Coke by less than a percentage point in its stead. And then lastly, yesterday's super great performer. I still don't understand it. I've listened to a couple of Rush songs, though. Subdivisions I listened to. It's okay. I listened to another one today, Jared. I forget what the title, Working Man, I believe it was. And they're both all right, but Geddy Lee, I don't know. It's like nails on a chalkboard for me, guys. I respect them. I just can't take it. Ronnie T-shirts, you see the menu before you. Break it down for me as only you can.
So cherry is my favorite artificial flavor, and so I think it does make any cola better. So I definitely really do like cherry cola, cherry Coke that you have up here. Arby's Curly Fries, it's my favorite. My favorite variety of fries is the seasoned curled fry, and Arby's does it quite well. As I said earlier in the week, NBA on NBC, it reminds me of when I used to like basketball, so it's very nostalgic for me. And with the exception of one song, Rush sucks. So I'm going to go with the one that I would least, or that I most want to stay in my life, and that would be curly fries.
All right, quickly, I will tell you, I enjoy a good Cherry Coke. Cherry Coke, it redeems Coke Zero. It's the only form of Coke Zero that I can tolerate. If it came down to Coke Zero and Rush, I would vote for Rush. That's how much I don't like Coke Zero. Arby's Curly Fries are delicious, and if you don't think so, just get the fuck right on out of here right now, because we all know they are. And then Round Ball Rock takes me back to the days when I actually cared about the NBA, so I like that one. I got to ride with Arby's Curly Fries, but Ron, I have a fear that Rush is going to win because, my God, are they popular with my audience. So let's go ahead and light that candle and see what Super 70s Nation has to say on this topic. My prediction is Rush is going to take this one, but by God, if the choice is between Geddy Lee and a curly fry, I know which way I'm going every day of the week, and it's actually pretty competitive. Look at that. But Rush, indeed, is moving on. What the fuck do I know? You know, I don't like to sit up here and alienate my audience, but I also know that my audience depends on me to be honest. They don't want me to kiss their ass, Ron. So I'm just going to sit here and say, I respect Rush. They've got tens of millions of fans. Obviously, other people are hearing something different than what I hear, but I can't fucking do it, Ron, is all that I'm telling you. Second place today, Curly Fries. The NBA on NBC, third, and Cherry Coke coming in fourth. And let's just roll straight out of America's poll of the day, straight into NFL picks, Ron, where you and I enter this week deadlocked, 12-12, both of us, right at the 500 mark. And we'll take a look at how things went for you
I
here.
picked
You've
the
actually already got the
Bengals. I
on the
didn't pick
board.
the Steelers. I picked the Bengals.
Oh, well, the graphic doesn't lie. Looks like it's a loss now, Ron.
Dude, that was quite shocking last night. I did not think that the Bengals were going to play that well. So props to Joe Flacco and the Bengals. I don't know. I'm a fanboy now of Scatterbo and Dart, so I like getting 7.5 points. I mean, after what Denver did in that game against the Jets, where they scored 13 points, so I like getting 7.5 points. The Jets are just abysmal, so it doesn't matter who they're playing. I'm going to take the other team, and I think if that number was 26.5, I think I'd still take the Patriots because Vrabel is going to put an ass whipping on that team. If he has a chance, he's going to step on the gas and not take his foot off of it.
Are they just trying to fuck it up for Cam Ward? You know, you draft this kid, you come in, you fire the coach just like right at the start of the year. That's always good for any young quarterback's development. Let's just fire the coach right out of the gate.
I don't know what the Titans do, dude.
We're gonna have one. We're gonna have one that we're in agreement on here, Ron, as we usually do. It's usually one a week,
which is crazy when you think
we have the same.
There's
pick.
14 games and we still have, we have some similar stuff.
We do. I'm in agreement with you that the Patriots are going to take care of business against the Titans. Look, I like the Bears. I think the Bears, and these may be famous last words coming from me. I think the Bears are starting to come to life.
Let's see.
It's
Turn
like
the corner.
Peter Frampton back in the mid-'70s. Yeah, the Bears are starting to come alive. I think that they're going to beat the Saints by 10 points or more. I think they're gonna let the Saints fucking have it at Soldier Field this weekend, and then we're gonna look at a Bears team that's 4-2 on a 4-game winning streak, and just laid the wood to somebody. That's what I'm banking on. So I like Chicago. I'm telling you, the playoffs will start being a conversation after what we do to the Saints this weekend. Eagles laying 2.5 at the Vikings. Look, I think the Eagles are going to get a win here. I believe that they can win by 3 points or more. So I'm going to go ahead and ride with the Eagles. They're due for a victory. And then, man, what do you do when shit is facing shit? You look for the pile that has less flies on it, and you bet on that pile. I feel like the Dolphins getting 2.5 at Cleveland. I think the Dolphins are good enough that they're going to get a victory there. I can't say that I feel crazy strongly about it, but my vibe is my gut. Sometimes you just got to listen to your gut instinct, Ron. And my gut tells me that it's going to be the Miami Dolphins winning that game outright. And they're getting points, so let me in on that. So there we go. All right, Ron, as we come down, we're going to wrap this show up right now. We're going to wrap it up in style because I'm going to ask you the question that is now being awaited by everybody in America, or at least the 17 people watching this program on YouTube. What the fuck, Ron?
Going to do a callback, Ricky. Yesterday, he talked about David Blaine. He swallowed 5? You said 5 frogs, and it was part of his little. I think
it was.
Act?
Yeah, it was around 5.
Yeah, it was a little act.
Yeah,
well,
4 or 5. Who's counting?
I mean, just crazy timing. A 82-year-old woman in Hangzhou, China, was having back pain, and she had heard, we talked about the ancient Chinese secret. Well, she heard that swallowing live frogs could help with aches and pains in your joints and your muscles. So she swallowed 3 live frogs one day, 5 the next, ended up in the hospital with tapeworm.
Ron, how bad would your back have to be hurting for you to be like,
listen,
I think I'm going to swallow these frogs?
I can go grab Lori because her back is just jacked up, and I think she would probably at this point try swallowing frogs. So
Ron, get out there tonight, and go hunt down some frogs.
Yeah,
do the right thing as a husband.
Yeah, and then one more callback. 2 episodes ago, I said that you should go as one of the Gibbs brothers on for Halloween, and you said you would need to get a chest merkin, right? Well,
yes.
Kim Kardashian has a line of undergarments called Skims, and she just sold out of. Are you ready for this? Fuzzy thongs. So it's got synthetic pubic hair on it, and it comes in a wide variety of colors. $32 a piece, and they sold out almost immediately.
Well, Ron, have you thought about getting the gray pair? Proof that the 70s is the greatest decade. They didn't need thongs back then.
We have Bush. We have Bush.
Shout out to the great Dudley Dawson. Thank you, Ron, for your contributions to this magnificent, historic, nearly hour and a half of programming today. My thanks as well to Adam and Molly in Nashville, to P. Jared, who was producing this show, and producer Tim is off doing his own thing today. Guys, we're just weeks away from the most patriotic award show on television. The Fox Nation Patriot Awards is back, and it's better than ever, hosted by Sean Hannity on November 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, live from the Tillis Center in New York. Just go to foxnation.com, Patriot Awards, to get your tickets, and when you're there, you'll even have the option to add on tickets for the fan experiences, such as attending live show tapings for Fox and Friends and the 5 cocktail parties. It's getting fancy. And more. So get your tickets now at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. And also, I don't want to forget to thank you, you sweet bastards, because of course, you're the reason we do this. You're the reason this is so much fun. And I love you. I hope that you have a great weekend. Have fun doing whatever you're doing. Even if that's nothing, do it well. Enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends. Get outside and touch some grass and have a ball. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here on Monday afternoon, when we will tee it high and let it fly and start a whole new week of the Ricky Cobb Show.